Or good evening, everyone. My name is Howard Lee, and I'm actually with the DC Department of Public Works, and I work for the Office of Waste Diversion. But a lot of my work revolves around outreach and education and managing the Zero Waste DC website, in addition to some food waste work that I do. And I do that during the day and at night. On the weekends, I do graphic design and website design and content design for freelance work under How Creative Solutions. And today, I'm going to talk about website optimization, which is sort of a big, broad topic for a lot of people. And I think it is a challenge, and it's got a lot of good tools that you can use to help get your website more views, better conversion rates, better customers, and just overall highly searchable and reachable site. So I'm going to get started here. So first off, what is SEO marketing, or search engine optimization? And that is really the practice of increasing the quantity and quality of the traffic to your website through organic search results. Basically, you want organic search traffic. That's anything when you put in a search engine and you type in, say, beer, and everything at the top is going to be like an ad, and everything at the bottom that is not an ad is that organic search. And that is what you're looking to increase. And so what good CEO does is get you quality of your traffic to the website, a good quantity of that quality traffic to your website, and great organic results. What I mean by quality of traffic, you can attract all the visitors that you want in the world, but if they're coming to your site because Google tells them you're a resource for Apple computers, when you're really a farmer selling apples, that's not really quality traffic to your website. So you want to really attract the visitors who are generally interested in the products that you offer. And once you have those right people going to your website or clicking to your website, you want to make sure that they click from the search engine to your site itself. So that's what we mean by the quantity of traffic. So increasing that traffic rate from a search engine to your actual site. And as I mentioned before, the organic results is that anything that's below that search panel that you'll see, and that basically is not paid for, and that's the stuff that you want to get. In this example here, notice that we put in braid hair tutorials. So you see how this is coming up with just some good quality titles here that you can click on. So someone's probably gonna go right away to what they see, 7 simple pretty braid tutorials. So I'll click that, and that'll give me some really great search results there and traffic to my site. So how SEO works, search engines, Google, Bing, all of these things are what we call search engines. And they all have these little, what we call a crawler. And that is basically an application that goes out and gathers information on the website. The crawl is very important. So I think when a lot of people start their new website and they're like, my site doesn't show up in Google right away. It will eventually. It just takes some time for Google to actually crawl through the internet, which it does regularly. And when it does that, it'll gather all that information, all the binary ones and zeros, and it starts to build this index. And that index is fed through an algorithm that allows for users to search any query that they need to find the information. Does anybody have any questions for me at this time before I move forward? All right. Again, Google uses a ton of different algorithms to pretty much rank how they rank their sites. This seems very complicated, so what I'm going to attempt to do is break a few things down for you to help reach a higher level of ranking in your site, and you won't have to pay attention to all of this, seems very complicated, and someone like me would understand. So the first tip I want to go through is understanding what keywords people are searching for and what opportunity keywords are. Um, Keywords are really kind of like just that basic thing, what people are kind of looking for on the internet. So say, for example, you're searching for, like I said previously, for apples, or apple farmer. So that keyword might be the keyword that you're using, but we want to kind of look for something that's more of an opportunity keyword uh, that will help rank your site a little bit better. Think, for example, if I look for hairdresser, say in DC, or I can be searching for DC hairdresser, or I can search for hairdresser near me. Uh, all those things, uh, will pop up, and you kind of want to look for the relevant keyword here that'll help bring you the better search. And that's going to take some time of you sort of analyzing your site and analyzing what people are looking for on the site and doing some keyword searches. You can do a regular search yourself just by guessing, putting in some terms in a Google search engine. You can use some Google search engine tools, like Google Trends is a really good tool to use that will kind of give you what's some good topics that are showing up based off of your content and your product and what you're selling or what you're trying to accomplish with your website. When you start looking at these keywords, you also want to kind of find the hook, or actually, what are people searching for? There's going to be some kind of hook within your competition that everybody's using. So you want to make sure that you are using that particular hook in your keyword search. One important thing to know about keywords is that you're going to use these keywords on a page by page basis on your website. So you don't want to use all your keywords on every page. You probably want to use each individual page to dedicate a keyword to, and then you work that out from there. And we'll get into some of those steps here in just a moment. And so that was kind of the first thing with some SEO marketing, is really about your keyword searches. That's really the first tip. You want to put some time into really looking at what people are searching for and how to sort of play with those words. Really good copy is going to help. And then also really good content is going to help. And good content must supply some sort of demand for your readers, and it also must be linkable from other pages and other sites. And so you want to give them some content that they're looking for, and then you'll use some of these tips here, which I'll go through shortly, that will kind of help improve that content that you have on your page and makes it more searchable in Google or Bing or Yahoo. So the first, with your content, is kind of make sure that your clicks or your headers or titles are compelling, and that you're using an H1 and H2 tag in those titles. H1 and H2 are code that we use for tags. H1s are sort of, think your header tags. Then you have your H2 tags, which are a little bit just under those. If you see here we go, my hierarchy here. So make sure you use some compelling titles here in your H1 and H2 tags. Short URLs that you want to use that are short and descriptive, and then that the content is easy to read. And we also want to use our keywords in all of these areas. So keywords will be used in your titles. You want to use keywords in your URLs and your descriptions. and use those keywords in your content. We take, for example, the topic ponytails, if we're looking for a hairdresser. So my H1 tag, my header tag, ponytails are great. Something under H2, why are ponytails so great? So a little bit more compelling, ask a question, and also very short and descriptive. My H3, they are very easy to do, or there's a lot of ways to style them. You have another H2. You just sort of see the hierarchy here that you want to use when building out your web pages to sort of optimize your SEO. Another thing about the content, you want to make sure you're using nice blocks of space, uh, titles, bullets, lists, all those things work to make things easy on a web page to view. Then you want to kind of get some high quality and relevant backlinks to your page. So even though you're using these keywords on your site and on your page, and it's showing up in Google, a really good tip to use is as you're searching other sites, other web pages, you can kind of go through and see they might have like some broken links in their blogs. They might have broken links uh, or outdated links or outdated information. You can always email other people and say, hey, can I replace that link with my link? And so now you have a link from somebody who's a reputable source back to your website as also another reputable source that they are re referencing. So make sure you try to get yourself some good, high quality and relevant backlinks. And then you want to optimize your images. So basically, you want to add some text to your images. Most websites, basically, if you're using anything like a blog program, WordPress, or any of those other blogging softwares, there's going to be an option for you to identify an image. So making sure you put some text around your images, that will sort of help um, to optimize those. Any quick questions before I continue? Because I know that's a lot. So kind of in an overview here of those particular points of how to optimize your page, make sure your content is really hyper relevant to the specific topic or the product that you're going to be selling. Either if you're doing classes, if you have some sort of object, whatever that you're going to be using, make sure that your topic is relevant to that. You want to include that topic or that keyword in your title tags. You want to make sure that's in your URLs and that it's short. You want to include that keyword in your image and your image alt text. And then you want to use that keyword several times throughout your content. Make sure your content is unique and that you're providing people with something that they haven't been given before. So a unique content is always ideal. Make sure you can link back to your category pages on each individual page, link back to subcategory pages, and link back to some home pages. Uh, Usually can do that through a logo that's on the top of your site. Don't forget to optimize the images and invest in some high quality design. Um, Let me just pause this here. I'm just going to go over to Google Trends. So I want to pull that screen up for you. So here's Google Trends. You could just put that in, and this is where you could start your keyword search. Uh, it's probably going to give you a lot of different keywords here. Let's put in something like, what's a good one for now or for today? Let's say compost. That's a keyword. So the Google Trends will show you interest over time, how people are interested in this. Looks like interest peaks up in April, May. Uh, it's listing by region. So you kind of get a lot of different related topics to this. Cardboard, um, I don't know what that, can you compost orange peels? So those are related queries. You can kind of start playing around with this and sort of using that on your website there. So basic keyword searches are really, really important. And that it does, I would highly recommend spending some time to sort of looking at your site, looking at your content, then trying to decide what it is that I'm gonna, focus on, what's gonna be more relevant for uh, my readers or my clients or my customers. And then we want to kind of go from there as you start using that as a basis for optimizing your site, and then adding that with your content, using that in your URLs, making those really short, making sure that you're using it in the content that you have all the time on your category pages, and also using it for the images that you have. Basically, you are trying to reach what we call a LOHAS consumer. So this is anyone who is in a lifestyle of health and sustainability. So these customers spend about $209 billion a year on goods and services related to the environment, health, social justice, personal development, and sustainable living. So these are some good keywords to start with your searching. A lot of broad topics here, but obviously you can dive deep into those that are going to be really specific to what you're trying to do on your site and on your or your blog, whatever it you are trying to focus on. And then you want to kind of go with this nice mix here as you start to build out your content, making sure your content is providing some sort of solution to your customers, that they're solving problems rather than, just I have a product that's really not serving me any good. The ideal customers, they're going to be really concerned about their costs. But when we talk about costs, we're talking about time, effort, money, or some sort of different perceived value that they're looking at. So you want to kind of highlight some cost advantages in your content there. Um, Convenience, obviously doing this on the web is making things a lot more convenient for people. So you also want to kind of highlight whatever convenience you can in your content. And these are all sort of buzzwords I'm given to sort of help think around the type of like I said, content that you want to, and keywords you want to include. And then making it communication. When I talk about communications, you want to build that relationship with people. So SEO and marketing is really great. You can do all those things, like you can have the right content on your site, you can use the right keywords, but people start coming to your site and they see that you're not responding to customers. Say if you have a blog comment, you don't respond to those, or if people are having a hard time kind of relating to you and understanding, that can kind of make that communications kind of important and will draw people away from the site. Another kind of quick tip on content for your site, and when you're writing this content, and when I'm saying keywords, you kind of want to make sure your keywords, or that you want to write at an 8th grade level. Most people tend to want to use big words like feasibility and a lot of these things on your site, on your blog, or when you're trying to sell things. But in order to open this up to a more broader audience, an eighth grade level tends to reach a lot more people. So you want to make sure your content is can be read at that level. And when we look back here at some of these keywords, all of these things can be read, you know, maybe not this deceptively easy one, but a lot of these titles here are actually pretty simple words that are easy to find and that they rank pretty high on in Google searches. This is actually not, I could go dive deep, but again, I would like to see if anybody has any specific questions on a topic at this point, because there are a lot of more tricks and tips that you can use, and we could probably go for, I don't know, 2, 3 hours on this. So before I open it up to some more tips, I just want to say, you know, you really want to make sure that keywords are probably the most important thing. Doing a good keyword search, looking for those opportunity keywords, finding a good hook, looking at what your competition is doing, using that hook again in your language any way that you can, and then making sure that you lay out your site and your content really easy, compelling titles, short URLs, using nice banners, definitely getting some space, not a whole lot of text, so probably keeping your text around 3 to 4 sentences, and then spacing it out, using bullets, using numbers, and then investing in sort of maybe really high quality layouts and design for your website. Any questions for me? Let me see, is it in the chat? All right, if no one has any questions, again, I want to just remind you, oh, let's see, maybe we do. No questions, great. Uh, if no one has any questions, again, remember to start with Google Trends, sort of look through that, start with your keywords there. If you need some help with keywords, you can always reach out to me. I can always help people with sort of that keyword search and content development. And you want to sort of reach out to a designer or making sure that your site is laid out in a way that has that level of H1 tags, using that keywords in those tags, and tracking traffic data. Someone's asking a really good question. I'll go back up to the top here. When I mentioned on the keyword search and all of these things, before you kind of get started there, you want to make sure you're set up in Google Analytics. Um, Google Analytics is a good way to sort of track some data that will start showing you which pages people are already clicking on. There's also like a drill down map where you can see you know, how they're getting to specific pages. This data can be broken out by demographics, age groups. You can look at where they're coming from those pages. I can actually show you some analytics in a second. Would you like to see analytics? Because I can show that. I'm just going to jump in my analytics, Google Analytics real quick, and then I'll show you. If you have a Gmail account, then you probably have access to a Google Analytics. If you've set up your website through any kind of hosting, like HostGator or Bluehost, they can always help you set up a Google Analytics site or Google Analytics account. But I think all you really need is your Gmail address. Is everyone seeing my screen? Can you see that? I think you're seeing it. Let's pause. Again, I do the Zero Waste DC website. So as you can see, here's the backend analytics there. I get real-time data, an overview. Um, no one's on my site now, but you can see how it tells what active pages they are on. Someone's on a home composting page. I look at my audience here. And again, once you set up your analytics account with Google, they will start to run this on your site all the time. And so you can just really go in and kind of look at your data and look at, you can do it by week, by month, can change that there. It'll show you your users, how many users have been on the page within a month. What's a really good thing about this, and what's really going to be important for you and when doing SEO, is the behavior portion. So you want to see the pages, that people are like clicking on. So it kind of gives you an overview of those pages there. I can split that up by title, and I see like how many times people have viewed this page within a certain time frame, probably a week. There's some other behavior flow. So here's the tree I was mentioning. So this tells you sort of where these landing pages are, how people are like accessing the site. So the main landing page there, and then the drill down pages where they go from there. You can see this tells me a lot, like people drop off here. So this is when you start getting into the nitty gritty and saying, okay, I know I have a lot of people landing here on this particular page and they kind of drop off or fall off there, most of my people. So is this a really great page? Are they finding out what they need here? Or, you know, does the page suck and they're just not using it at all? Over a few months, I kind of know that they're dropping off because they're using this page. There's some other links on this page that are allowing for click-through through some first and second interactions going on through there. But the analytics does a lot. Another thing I can show you, your acquisition is always a really good thing to sort of look at. So this is telling you where people are coming from. As you see, this is a nice organic search here. Remember I mentioned that you wanted the organic searches. So that's those searches that come after those ads when you put in you know, something in a search box there. Direct links are people just typing in your site because they know your URL. And if you have a short recognizable URL, so I know people are always trying to get that really short, great catchy website name or URL, that is would help with like direct links. Referrals, typically that is like people, those backlinks I was talking about. So from other sites. So if people mention me here on a blog, or if they mention at a newspaper and it appeared on the web, it gets crawled, I'll get that referral link showing here there. Social is coming from all like your social media accounts that you would set up. And obviously you want social media accounts set up around your blog any way you can, or your site any way you can. Uh, Back to communication, that is also a good way to add a communication tool to your brand and your site, and make sure you're communicating with your customers. And then you can use this social link here to see if they're actually using those social pages to go to your website in that sense. You know, always want to look at the behavior flow and how people are kind of drilling down. I always look for like events. This is really good if you have like things that are downloadable on your site. People want to, you know, if you need them to kind of take some information from it, this will show things like your downloads, or if they're going to other places like that. So uh, I think it's really easy. You can customize this, your dashboards. You can get custom reports if you want. And I think all you need is your Google Gmail account to set up. There are some advanced features in the analytics that you may have to pay for, but I think that with the just the regular analytic part, you can get a lot of good information from that. Was that helpful? Again, I do this quite often. You probably want to start here. If you haven't set up this first, this would be the first thing I would try to do before engaging in trying to update some of your SEO on your pages. Once you do this, I think you should take page by page and then try to make each page sort of an SEO, you know, increase that each page one by one. Don't try to go through the whole site and do it all at one time. Take one keyword, take one page, one topic, and sort of work from there. And then study, and you know, just check your data, check your behavior, see where people are coming from on your acquisition. That's going to be really important because here we'll tell you, hey, people are really using my organic search, or people are not, and they're finding me from referral sources. So maybe I need to focus, you know, on either my referrals or improve this organic search. My keywords aren't quite working the way they want to, the way they should. The audience is going to give you some basic information, basic demographics, you know, male, female. I think this also talks about some visitor behavior, tracking new and returning visitors. That can always be important if you want to keep track of who keeps coming back to your site. And you'll always have that real-time data uh, there on your site. But I always check with the Google and then either your host company for other analytic tools. So yes, I had pulled up some searches here. Are we still able to see this screen here? So I put in like paleo diets. So that's actually like a keyword here. That's a keyword we're going to work with. And as or, I'm sorry, paleo desserts. uh, so notice I got recipes. And you're seeing this? I think you are seeing this here. So these are all gonna give me like recipes, and that's probably an opportunity word. Let's click this one. Notice here, best paleo desserts, really short and simple URL at the top. Paleo desserts is gonna appear several times in the content. They're using really great images. You're gonna have to really research these sites to look at your competitors. So it again, when I said that or using Google Trends will help kind of pick out some keywords for you. Um, there's all kinds of tools that you can use. This is a good free resource. So you can look at trending searches there, or you'll just have to do your, some research and really take your time to kind of, it's going to be some guesswork, but that's why I advise kind of doing that research first to kind of seeing what works. All key, the keyword, you may figure it out. It's going to probably appear to you after doing some research. It's going to depend on the topic what the keyword is, but you can always start here to see what's trending, what other people are looking at. I'll give an example of my site here. How creative solutions for eco-minded solutions for small businesses. I was doing my research and realized no one knew anything about sustainability marketing, so that became my keyword. I use it on the blog portion of the site a lot, or eco-minded and sustainability. Those are sort of my keywords there. Again, but that's related to me, my site, what I'm trying to do. So if I'm, I obviously want to market to companies that are looking for sustainability programs, so that would be my keyword uh, there. Hairdresser could be one, but that's like a broad topic. Maybe you're a specific type of hairdresser, so that could be your keyword. But again, if you're a hairdresser that does braids and several people do braids, you'll probably have to research their site to look for those keywords or see what where you can find an opportunity word for. It is going to take a little bit of research. Again, this is not, there is no sort of simple formula for it. Each uh, each group is different, and each customer or each site is going to have a different customer that they're looking for. But you'll have to do a lot more of the research. But I think starting with the trends will help with those keywords. And they're not all like TikTok and D'Angelo stuff. You can put in normal words. Did that help? And you can, I mean, stalk your competitors, look at what they're doing, look at the keywords in the language that they use. I will say, like when we did zero waste DC, that recycling that's a really broad word, right? But let's say I'll do recycling in DC. So obviously the main agency comes up for residential recycling, and then our site comes up right under, which is really great. Um, you have all these other things, but here's the story: is recycling worth it? So maybe recycling is not the keyword I want to use. But here I put, if you look at the description, I use residential recycling information, list the ways you can recycle in Washington, D.C. So a nice description here that you can use to describe what the page is. When you do on your blogs, there are sort of these sections where you can add an SEO piece to it. So, or these descriptions. Even if you're hard coding a site, you can add these descriptions here. So I recommend probably going through each page and coming up with a very short description with a keyword in the description that kind of really tells what the site does, and then use that to develop what I call like a SEO tree list or a site plan. and you can sort of add that to each page that's different, and it'll kind of give you all the information that, help sort of bring it to the top of the searches. Just another little tip for like your keywords. But again, short, not very long. You don't want them too long. Um, Google doesn't like those little ellipses and dots at the end. Yes. So that description is controlled by you. If you're coding, if you have someone actually hard coding, yes. If you have someone actually hard coding the site, there are there is a place to code and put it in. If you're using something like a blog software like WordPress, it'll be a much more streamlined, like a box that you will add that in. But going back to my point, you want those to be short. You want them to include the keyword and make sure that they're relevant to your content. Google doesn't really like long descriptions, and they don't really like those dots here like you see at the end. So anything that's probably got that long description to describe a page is going to probably end up lower. And as you can see, mine's kind of a little bit higher. I have been searching on this computer a lot, but you get the idea. Again, really short, go through each page, look at each page, and probably write a really small description. Think that H1 tag that you want to use, that main header. It's got the keyword in there, it's descriptive, it's relevant, it's clickable, but not like clickbait. So you don't want it to be too cheesy, but just have the right content to add there. And if you're coding the site yourself, yes, you can put that in, you write that in the code, or you can give that to a designer to add that to the code. If this is a blog like WordPress, there's tons of what they call plugins and tools to help you add that in. Yes, any more questions? These are good. Does anyone have a site they have currently they would like for me to look at really quick? What is the site? So someone's asking me to look at this Virginia Avenue Community Garden site. So let's go ahead and put it there. Okay, so your about page is showing up. Um, and before we even just kind of look on the site, we're just going to look at your analytics and how it's showing up in Google. And so the about page is the first thing that shows up, but it's saying started in Southwest DC. So here, it doesn't really give me an about. So here's probably where we could really change um, this description here, this data. What this is called, I'll write it here. Sorry, this is called a meta description. That is what a designer would do. He would use, or what he would call it. You can also find that in your WordPress platforms. The Yelp review actually has a really good description of your garden. It's an oasis just south of Busy Barracks Road. So that's a really nice description there, but you kind of want it on your site and you want to probably get the your main page to show up. So you do show up, but a lot of great click-throughs. So got that going. Looks like some other reputable sites, HillRag, CurveDC, are referencing the site. So you got some really good clickbacks going. We'll go to the site. So the home page that I clicked, this is going. Let's go to the home page. There we go. So again, back to the Google search. I think you kind of got the idea there. This probably needs some metadata on your home page. So you probably want to add a description there. Uh, and look, this is probably like the content you want to use here. You can probably improve the banner and the heading and make that up at the top just for some usability. UX design and a UX designer and all that is really about making sure your readers can actually use the site the way you kind of want it to. You kind of want to direct them and lead them. So basically, you want to give them the navigation at the top so that they know exactly where to go. Great use of images, uh, great use of white space. Again, you can break some of this up. Like there's a nice image here. This could probably be uh, a call to action button. So making sure that you have a lot of these call to actions on your site too. Call to actions are a really great way to get people to kind of do something. So when you want them to maybe either sign up for an email or purchase a product, say you have a product on sale or you're running a special promotion, these sort of mid banners here are great for those kind of call to action pieces to put there and click through buttons. Again, great images. Uh, Always want to make sure that these images are indexed. Slideshows are great, but it's kind of hard for Google to crawl through all of the slides. So it's probably best to just put some images there and make sure the slides are in a back page uh, in that area on a lower level page and not this home page. Again, making sure navigation is just easy for people to read. It says home twice, but we can work on that. Some things could be a lower level, lower underneath. So home could be about board members. All that can sort of be subtitles on your site there. Again, I like call to action tips for, especially for a lot of you, if you have community gardens and you want to get people to kind of come out and do things um, on the garden, if there's special days, if you're running promotions, that's kind of where you want to use some nice banners. Here, you can go even in your content, use some side banners, like over here, small ones to use. So when I mentioned investing in really nice graphics and stuff like that, really kind of pay attention to some really good like banners on the site that sort of break up the text and kind of help just engage the eye a little bit better. Again, when you're doing a lot of content here, it's always great to kind of break it up. I'll show my site. I'm still viewing the page. I like to use, see again, it's a nice banner. I got navigation at the top, uh, header, nice H1 tag up at the top here. And then I broke it out using some icons and nice colors, nice white space, and then some click-through links. Really just to kind of make, you know, the eye kind of draw to what you're kind of wanting them to do. Put those in there. Again, I have a nice call to action here. So nice little button that just takes you to another page. Again, using more icons, just to kind of help with some images there and just to draw the eye. So just really trying to make a nice use of your images, clean text, nice spacing, that all those things that you would think of like in a document, you can also do on these pages. And again, you want to use, I notice I use eco-friendly a lot of times in my content, my buzzwords there, or it's just all throughout the content that you want to use. Thank you. There are plenty of places and plenty of resources for really good icons. Flat Icon is a really great free resource. Pexels gives really great banner images for people to use. If you don't have sort of an Adobe account, Pexel for images and Flat Icon will give you some nice icons that you can use on your websites. If you want to use icons, if you're going to take product pictures, make sure you're using really good images for your product pictures there, if you're selling those. Any other questions for me? I hope this was helpful to everyone. I can hang out for a little bit to see if there's any more questions coming through. Again, I just want to uh, reiterate how important having those keywords are, really paying attention to your content. The keyword, again, I'm just stressing that you'll have to do your own research with that. But there are tools. Google Trends are out there. You can also just search your site. Don't forget to set up Google Analytics before you start doing all of this. If you're using WordPress or any other blogging software, make sure you check with your host company to make that your site is indexable so that it can be found on the site. So make sure just crawled index. Short URLs, make sure they're nice, short, sweet, simple. Uh, Remember language, we want to keep it at an 8th grade level so that it's appeals to everyone. Um, and we don't sound too smart. I know like this site here kind of has some big words that I'm sort of using, but again, you think I'm trying to reach businesses and corporations and things like of that nature, so I could go with that bigger language. But if you are definitely looking to reach like a mass audience, the simpler the language, the better. And even so, that worked with Zero Waste DC. We kind of use simple language there. Um, so really looking at your layouts, don't forget to make sure to include that keyword in the titles, in the content, and also in images. And again, let me just point one thing out about images. Hopefully you could see the image. Okay, I can't show you there. But there is a way, definitely, when you add images to your site. So definitely, if you're using WordPress or anything that's going to be that alt text, if you're hard coding, there's an alt text that you can code in, just like a metadata tag that will describe the photo. But you want to use a really short and simple, sweet description for that. Well, thank you, everyone. I hope this was informative. I haven't been working on SEO websites for a couple of months during COVID. Been focused on some other things, so it's kind of good to get back into it. And again, if any of you need help looking at your site, need some recommendations, you can always reach out to me. You have my website there. You can always email me. And then Josh, I think, also has my contact information uh, to email if you need some help there. Well, thank you. I hope you all enjoyed it and staying up with me on your Tuesday evening. I know these series, they're doing a lot of those. So thank you. We're also having a food recovery meeting on Friday if anyone is planning on attending that. I'll be doing this presentation again on Friday if you want to join in. There'll probably be some additional questions, some more questions. It'll probably go a lot faster because I don't have much time on that presentation. So thank you very much. Enjoy your evening, everybody. Stay safe. And again, if you need any more help with websites or your content, just feel free to reach out.